Hello, dear friends. The human body is like a piano key because sometimes it gives problems. To be a key or to have more keys than a piano means to have health problems or to be full of manias and absurd delicacy. It is synonymous with being manic, tiresome, and hypochondriacal. A keyboarder is a person who doesn't like anything, is bad at by everything, and is always putting up 1,000 problems. Just yesterday, I didn't upload my video because I was exhausted. Opinion piece. Are you comfortable in your body? How to feel at ease? It's difficult coexistence. Don't have a bad day again. Those who know can't sleep. You are much more than you think you are. This is due to the new frequencies. There is a physical transfiguration. Fear or love are incompatible. The problem is emotional wounds. The remedy is self-love and empathy. Reconciliation with our family is the key. It's very important to honor one's ancestors. Prime Ministers of Italy and Estonia resigns. This adds to a string of global resignations. UK suffer Europe's most severe crisis. Ukraine harvests 3.6 million tons of grain. Chicago Mercantile Exchange to have a crisis in September. Heatwave sets record high temperatures in Spain. Violent Chinese bank ran over frozen deposits. Let's start. Not everyone goes to sleep when they want and wakes up when they want to. There are people who don't accept their own physical body and are full of complexes. Not everyone is fit when they have to work every day, and that's why famous artists take psychotropic products before going on stage in order to shine in front of their fans. I recommend always a good coffee and Korean ginseng because it is legal and healthy. We all have to give our best and be impeccable in our work to avoid reproaches from ourselves and others. The body is the set of organic systems that constitute a living being. The human body is the physical and material structure of the humankind. It is studied by different branches of the biological sciences, depending on the level of organization of the matter being analyzed. Water is the most abundant molecule in the human body and accounts for about 55% of the total weight of an adult being. Programming. You must be absolutely certain that you are much more than you think you are. Your body and your being are meant to accept all that is of the Creator, so that you can exist on earth as a divine expression of the Creator. With all of these activations and actualizations within your physical body, there is still an energy, a programming that is hindering the complete and utter success of these actualizations within the physical body. This programming can cause discomfort in your physical body, according to the Andromedans through Natalie Glasson. Throughout this ascension process, every being on earth is absorbing sacred frequencies, activations, keys and codes from the Creator, while activating a deep knowing and remembrance from within, from the soul group and the Creator. This means that your physical body is upgrading all the time. It is upgrading its energetic frequency, the knowledge and wisdom it possesses, and the truth rooted in its cells. This upgrading process of the physical body is due to its seeking, developing and discovering its ascension process. It's just like the great upgrades of a PC operating system. You may find that every day you are looking for things that are wrong with your physical body. You may be worrying about your body and your health, worrying about aging or the future. You may judge your physical body harshly because it may not be the same as everyone else. You may feel that it doesn't fit. You may feel that there are parts of your physical body that just don't work properly, or that there is something wrong with your body, but you don't know what it is. You may have a desire to change aspects of your physical body. Emotional wounds. In the civilization in which you currently exist, it is established in the belief systems that you judge, hate, or dislike your physical body in some way. What is needed for the physical body is self-love and empathy. The way you feel about your physical body stems from the wounds within your being, within your energy system, within your emotions, and even your thought process. Much of your thought process is adopted from others, from past generations, from family members around you, and from the media. Many of these beliefs encourage you to look for everything that is wrong with your being. Thus, emotional wounds, you activate the pain within you and focus it on your physical body. It's very important to honor the ancestors, as is done in all traditional cultures. To heal emotional wounds, I recommend reconciliation with our living and deceased ancestors. It is very important to love and forgive them, despite the harm they have done to us, in order to also forgive ourselves, because they were also traumatized and didn't know what they were doing. That is why I always pray to my ancestors, in quotes: Mama, I love you. Papa, I love you. Grandmother, I love you. Grandfather, I love you. Aunt, I love you. Uncle, I love you. I am proud of our lineage, and I thank you for bringing me to life. I am honored to have been part of your family. Thought process and programming are suppressing the divinity of the physical body, as well as the health, vitality, and use of the body. It is also limiting your physical body's connection to the Creator and your divine self. Therefore, you may wish to discover what you feel about your physical body. You may wish to recognize at the deepest level how you really feel about your physical body, recognizing it as reflections of energies, wounds, emotions, and pain that is unresolved within your being, as well as programming from the outside world. Physical transfiguration. The Company of Heaven speaks of our physical transformation at this time of entering into fifth dimensional existence, according to Patricia Diana Cota Robles. When a person's appearance changes dramatically, that is a type of transfiguration. The word also appears frequently in religious writings, describing a more spiritual type of change. While in Latin root transfigurare means to change form, transfiguration was first used to imply the change in Christ's appearance on Mount Tabor. In Harry Potter, transfiguration was a branch of magic that focused on altering the shape of appearance of an object through altering the molecular structure of the object. Transfiguration could be performed on most objects and, as with most forms of magic, included transfiguration spells. Human transfiguration was a branch of transfiguration and a form of transformation in which one transfigured part of the human body or an entire human being into another form. This branch was more difficult than any other. One of the spells learned in 6th year at Hogwarts was the transfiguration of eyebrow color. Political crisis. The wave of political resignations around the world continues as a symptom of the collapse of the system. On Thursday, 14th July, Italy's Prime Minister Mario Draghi and Estonia's Prime Minister Kaja Kallas resigned from their posts. Draghi announced his resignation as Italian Prime Minister, but President Mattarella didn't accept it. Draghi decided to resign on Thursday after a member of the populist coalition refused to vote for a key bill in parliament. Estonia's president on Thursday called on Prime Minister Kaja Kallas to form a new government after they resigned from a minority single-party cabinet, ending a more than month-long political stalemate in the Baltic nation. This follows the resignation of British Prime Minister Boris Johnson as Europe collapses. The resignation of each of these national leaders is not necessarily connected, but the global political system is reverberating with tremors directly related to the economic turmoil reaching as far as China and Sri Lanka. It is all linked to financial markets, as well as the stability of governments globally. If people really knew what has happened, they would go crazy. Fear or love cannot occupy the same space. Spain. The heatwave sets temperature records and has already left 84 dead in Spain. Evacuations, thousands of hectares burnt and roads cut off by a fire in Montgafre National Park in Extremadura. The Audiencia Nacional opens a trial against Iberdrola for manipulating the price of electricity. Iberdrola, Naturgy, Endesa and Repsol earned 722 million since the announcement on the tax on the sector. The Spanish stock market rebounds 1.81% after 5 sessions of decline. The IBEX 35 ends 6,900 points thanks to Wall Street. Brussels raises inflation in Spain to 8.1% this year. Brussels downgrades Spain's growth to 2.1% in 2023 and puts average inflation at 8.1% this year. Brussels calls for saving gas from summer onwards by reducing the use of air conditioning. BBVA research forecasts a sharp slowdown in 2023. Bankinter has lost 22% in 10 sessions. Home sales rose by 24% in the first half of May and have been growing for the latest 15 months. In a village in Toledo, there are houses for 4,000 euros. The real estate portal Idealista has published a report with Spanish towns where the square meter is the cheapest to buy this summer. From its list of 25 municipalities in which it is currently cheaper to buy a home, it is worth nothing that the autonomous community with the largest presence in the list is Castilla-La Mancha, and the province with the most cheap locations is Toledo. The European Parliament requests the appearance of Marlaska for the tragedy of Melilla. The Algerian Senate approves a law regulating the mobilization of reservists following tension with Morocco. A flight between Liverpool and Tenerife was diverted to Lisbon because 2 drunken passengers who didn't respect the rules and disturbed the rest of the passengers. The loss of the male sex chromosome in old age damages the heart and hastens death. A new fast ultraluminous phenomenon is discovered in the distant universe. It is a transient phenomenon as bright as a stellar explosion or supernova, but with much faster evolution. Americas. Pope's words on Cuba and Raúl Castro caused outrage in Miami. Francis said Cuba is a symbol for him and that he has a humankind relationship, in quotes, with Raúl Castro, Fidel Castro's brother and the country's former president. Maduro praises López Obrador's stains to Biden on his U.S. tour. Aeromexico plans to list in the U.S. due to lack of liquidity in Mexico. Argentina has half a year to go to meet its inflation forecast for the whole 2022. The price of the dollar in Argentina is once again at a record high in the informal market. Uruguay advances the free trade agreement with China and tensions the Mercosur summit. Chile's central bank seeks stable peso. Chile again extends the state of emergency in the Mapuche conflict zone. Chile experiences an unusual episode of rain and snow in the middle of a drought. A giant oarfish measuring almost 6 meters is captured in Chile and is believed to be a harbinger of earthquakes and tsunamis. The species lives in deeper water below 1,000 meters, so it is rare to find it on the surface. United Nations welcomes Petro's commitment to peace and his plans for dialogue. Colombia confirms the death of Iván Mordisco, one of the FARC's dissident leaders. Colombian TikToker Carlos Feria will be investigated for viral videos in which he makes bad jokes and mistreats his 4-year-old daughter. The earthquake in Peru on Tuesday left 6 people injured and affected more than 40 homes. The Peruvian government maintains its projection for GDP growth at 3.6% for 2022. The Bolivian opposition sent a letter to the European Union and the United Nations denouncing political persecution. The Ecuadorian Attorney General's office opens a preliminary investigation against Lasso and 2 ministers for the arrest of Leonidas Iza during the protests. Year-on-year inflation in El Salvador reaches 76%, the highest since 2010. A strike paralyzes construction and blockades impede food supply in Panama. The Panamanian government ratifies the new tariff scheduled for the Interoceanic Canal. The Nicaraguan parliament dissolves another 100 NGOs, bringing the total number of illegalized NGOs to 958. All NGO denounces the murder of 149 women in Honduras so far this year. Bolsonaro says he knows how to resolve the conflict in Ukraine, but will not tell anyone, in quotes. Gang war in Haiti leaves dozens dead. The United Nations discusses how to limit access to weapons in Haiti in the face of rising violence. Economy. Copper rebounds after falling below $7,000. The price of copper in a 20-month low below $7,000. It has suffered its biggest annual fall since the 2008 financial crisis. Bitcoin, Ethereum and Dogecoin rise despite red-hot inflation. Edward Griffin says the Fed needs to destroy the dollar to usher in a cashless system. Griffin says the goal of this is to give governments full control of purchasing power and the ability to make all future transactions go through banks. Ultimately, cryptos will not be the freedom-loving assets they promise to be. He continues and says a monetary system backed by gold or silver is even more attractive compared to today's prominent digital currencies. USA. The New York Stock Exchange rises despite disappointing corporate figures. Inflation continues to rise and reaches 9.1%, the highest since 1981. Fed policymakers continue to target a 75 basis point hike in July. Wheat futures of the Chicago Board of Trade hit their lowest level in 5 months. 2 months to go. After the final numbers for 2022 came in, wheat plantings were found to be at a low not since 1919. Corn has less than 90 million acres combined, with shortages of fertilizers, herbicides and insecticides, which would mean that in September the Chicago Mercantile Exchange wouldn't have the physical products to deliver. This could crash the market. New York's mayor says the city smells like marijuana. Elon Musk is forced to explain himself to a regulator over a tweet about the Twitter takeover. Biden arrives in Saudi Arabia to repair his relationship with Bin Salman. Ivana Trump, Donald Trump's first wife, dies. Europe. European stock markets attempt a rebound cornered by a weakening world economy. European stocks rally with attention on Italian politics and the ECB meeting. Ukraine harvests 3.6 million tons of grain. Agreement in principle to unblock Ukrainian grain exports. Hungary's Prime Minister calls anti-Russian sanctions a shot in the lungs. Russia says US must prepare Ukraine to negotiate peace as it loses Western military support. Russia's recriminations over the effects of the war occupy the G20 finance meeting. Europe overtakes Asia to become the largest buyer of US oil for the first time in 6 years. The UK faces a more severe inflationary crisis than other powers. Russia is about to play its most dangerous cards, and the West is unprepared by abruptly cutting off supplies. Putin could have a colossal impact on our oil and gas dependent economies. Stock markets would crash and thousands of companies would go to bankrupt because they could no longer afford energy supplies. Asia. Sri Lanka's president formally resigns from Singapore via email. Chinese bank run turns violent after angry mob storms Bank of China branch over frozen deposits. In quotes, they told us they would beat us if we refused to leave. They simply used the loudspeaker to say we were breaking the law by filing a petition. That is ridiculous. It's the banks that are breaking the law. Close quotes. China develops reusable rockets and spacecraft to send tourists into space. Those interested will have to pay about $3,000, but will first have to undergo training. A Chinese space observatory records the strongest magnetic field in the universe. The US warns China that it will defend its ally, the Philippines, in the event of an armed attack in the South China Sea. A tribunal in The Hague invalidated Beijing's claims to the area. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.